This is one of the most viral pasta recipes that I've had saved for months, and I'm finally convincing myself to make it. There's many different versions of this recipe out there, but I've gone ahead and pulled all the best parts of each one and put it together into one perfect dish. So we're making Marry Me chicken pasta for single women, and if you want to make it for your partner, by all means go ahead, but I'm making it for myself. I'm Alexa, and tonight, Marry Me chicken pasta is what's for dinner. So first things first, we're gonna cut up an onion. You always want a very sharp knife when you are working in the kitchen. Typically I eat dinner pretty late, but we're getting an earlier start tonight so that I can actually eat a nutritious meal at a reasonable hour. This dish has a lot of connotations. I'd like to go on the record saying that it's not all about marriage. I'm 32 and quite single. And for whatever reason, I don't feel this like immense pressure to settle down and get married. I don't know if I should. It's kind of weird. You don't know how you are supposed to feel. I always assumed when I was younger that by the time I was 30, I would be married and having kids. And let's just say I'm 32 and nowhere close to either of those things. And I don't really have a problem with it. I'm perfectly happy with where I am in life. I think that we grew up thinking it was gonna be something so different than it was. I think we all thought that by the time we were in our 20s and 30s, we'd have it all figured out. And frankly, we don't. I don't. If you do, you're way more ahead than I am. It feels like something I don't wanna rush. It feels like something that I don't wanna force. And it feels like I'm where I'm supposed to be. So all this to say is that this dish is symbolic, but definitely does not have to pertain to marriage. Okay, now we're gonna work on some garlic. One of my favorite kitchen hacks is using these pre-peeled garlics. It makes your life so much easier. Call it a bit of a shortcut, but saves you a lot of time because the smashing and peeling of garlic is maybe one of my least favorite kitchen tasks. So we're just gonna chop up some garlic. Now this is a knife skill that always kind of like looks impressive, but it's really easy. You're basically just on your cutting board. A lot of people like to use garlic presses or those things where you kind of like rub and grate garlic. Ooh, it's a nice sunset today. So we just wanna get a nice mince on these. Now, I don't know the exact science behind this, but I've read and heard garlic becomes more pungent the more you chop, dice, and pulverize it, the more flavor and aroma you get out of it. Okay, that's looking good. Garlic is done. So I'm cutting up some sun-dried tomatoes now to get them nice and small so that they kind of blend into the sauce well. Sun-dried tomatoes are nice because they give a lot of flavor to dishes, especially when there's nice like herbs and stuff in this one. Now, if you're a foodie like me, you've probably heard of Marry Me chicken for years and maybe wondering, you know, where this trend even started. It turns out that it was back in 2016, so it's been almost a decade now that Marry Me chicken has been so popular. It was actually at the food media company Delish. Someone on the staff made this chicken recipe, but just the chicken, not the pasta, with this creamy, garlicky, tomatoey sauce. And I guess when another producer tried the dish, they said, "Marry me." That was a really popular recipe before TikTok and food talk and Instagram Reels and all these things that now make it so much easier for us to access viral recipes like that. So that's when it started, back in 2016, believe it or not, fun fact. Now this recipe started out as just a chicken recipe. So the chicken, lest us forget, is a very important part of this recipe. So that's why we're gonna make the chicken really delicious. I'm using these really thin chicken cutlets here. I just find them easier to work with rather than having to like pound out chicken and all that, so. No, Buttercup. We wanna get our chicken breast nice and dry so that it can kind of hold on, get a nice sear on it. If you end up cooking proteins when they're wet and damp like this, they'll end up steaming in the pan rather than getting a nice brown color, which brown color means good flavor, so it just kind of helps with the browning and cooking process to get things nice and dry. Buttercup, excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, nice and dry. Go ahead. Getting out our seasoning. So we're using garlic powder, paprika, onion powder, Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. Picking out a good chicken knife. Here we go. So, like I said, there's a lot of different versions of this recipe, and I've kind of combined, kind of Frankensteined many versions of this recipe to create one that's easy, maximizing on flavor and deliciousness. Now, one thing I wanted to do when developing my recipe for Marry Me chicken pasta was make it a one-pot dish. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're preparing ourselves for this to all be coming together in one pot, which I love cooking, hate doing dishes. I live with my sister, and she's typically the one that does dishes. I'm the cooker, the chef, the cook. She's the cleaner, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'm using a separate cutting board just because it makes it easier to make sure you're not cross-contaminating anything. So we ended up with about 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds of chicken here. The serving size of what I'm making right now is probably for about 2, so this will be good leftovers for me. That's the hard part about cooking for yourself, is that it's really hard to make things in small quantities that are just for, say, 1 serving. Like I said, I live with my sister, so she'll have some, and then you've got leftovers. If you're unlike me and you are married or trying to marry someone or have a partner, you can make this for you and them. Okay, I'm gonna move my chicken to a bowl so I can get it seasoned really nice and evenly. I'm trying not to touch it. Here we go, ready? I think I touched it a little bit, so I have to wash my hands again. So we're gonna season our chicken with plenty of salt, freshly cracked black pepper. I like to use freshly cracked black pepper. It definitely provides a lot more flavor than pre-ground. So we've got onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, paprika, and Italian seasoning. Get our chicken nice and well seasoned. Toss the seasoning to evenly coat chicken. We're good to go. Add some olive oil in here. Not only is it easy to make everything in one pot, but then everything really comes together. You're not trying to combine flavors from different cooking places. It's all coming together in one pot, which I love. So our oil's hot. We're gonna go in with our onions. Eee, hot, be careful. Hot oil, guys. And you want this to be on about medium heat. You definitely don't want the onions to burn. So I was saying earlier how the trend first started in 2016. I personally didn't start seeing it be such a viral thing until about 2022. So lots of different food creators like myself started riffing on the dish, making versions of it, and I believe it was one of the most searched recipes on Google in 2022, 2023. Now, I don't know if that's because people were interested in wooing somebody with the dish or if they just wanted to make something very delicious. So I'm gonna hope for all of our sake that it's the latter. Okay, while our onions continue to soften, I'm gonna add in a little bit more olive oil and we're gonna go in with the chicken. So the onions are continuing to soften on the side while the chicken is cooking in the middle. That's the plan. Getting some nice color on the chicken, which is great. Now, I was talking about this recipe being super popular in 2022, 2023, and it's still something that people are actively, regularly searching, you know, recipe sites, blogs, just Google. It's really got that staying power, which you don't see in a lot of trending and viral recipes. You wanna make sure the heat stays low enough that nothing's burning, because that's the one risk with a one-pot recipe, that if stuff starts burning, it's gonna taste burnt in your whole dish. So you gotta keep everything Gucci together. I don't know why I just said Gucci. That was really embarrassing. Okay, now we're going to add in some tomato paste. Just gonna give this a lot of flavor, just like a big, hearty tablespoon. Now you want the tomato paste to kind of darken in color a little bit. We're trying to caramelize that. I'm gonna do a little more tomato paste. I personally would love to try this recipe with some fresh tomatoes. I think that would be really, really delicious, but since it's the winter and tomatoes are not on season, we're gonna use sun-dried tomatoes and tomato paste, which has that delicious, robust tomato flavor kind of locked in there. Now we're gonna take our sun-dried tomatoes. Get them in here. And our minced garlic. I'm adding the garlic at this stage in the cooking process because it doesn't take very long to cook. Whew, that smells so good. Even if you wanted just to eat it like this at this point, it would be probably really delicious. We've unlocked hella aromas. Now we're gonna add our chicken broth or chicken stock. I'm gonna do this whole quart because it's gonna reduce a lot. And then we're gonna add the pasta into this pot to cook. So while the pasta's cooking, it's going to absorb a lot of this. Oh, it smells really good. Wow. Now we're gonna do about a cup of heavy cream. A nice creamy, tomatoey, garlicky combination of flavors. I really could not decide which pasta shape. I wanted a smaller shape, like a short pasta. So our options are rotini, that could be a move. The spirals would really absorb the sauce. That's one option. Ooh, option 2, small shells, like these babies. Oh, well, one went in, so maybe that's the universe telling us. I think I'm gonna do the small shells. Let's almost back up to a boil. Before I forgot to add in the calabrian chilies. Calabrian chilies are really good for adding like a delicious, robust, spicy flavor. Ah! So that's gonna give our marry-me chicken a little bit of kick. Our liquids here are just about boiling. When I'm putting my full effort into a dish, I wanna make more than just one singular serving. So this is, like I said, 2 to 4 servings, but we'll eat it, don't worry. And it's not because I'm asking someone to marry me. Ooh, I like that sound. So we're gonna let those cook for about 8 minutes until they're nice and al dente. And al dente means of the tooth, which means you can still feel kind of that chew in the pasta a little bit. You don't want it to turn into complete mush. So we don't want it to cook too long. We're gonna keep our eyes on it. I cannot emphasize enough how good this smells. It's like truly unbelievable. And if you've ever cooked with spinach, you know that a lot is gonna disappear very quickly. So we're gonna stir this in and it's all gonna go down. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. A little more spinach. Too much disappeared. I think it's just about time for us to give this a good taste test. See how we're doing. Time to plate. Here we go. This looks so good. This is so sick. I'm so happy I finally made this. Oh my God. I said earlier I've had this saved for months, but I think I've actually had it saved for years. This is my intrusive thoughts, but yeah, that needed to happen. Say when. It's like I'm a waiter at the Italian restaurant. Let's garnish with some basil. I want to drizzle a tiny bit of olive oil on top. That is so good. I am gonna devour this. I'm so excited. Okay, official plated bite. Let's go. Oh, I'm so stoked. It's a lot of servings, but I'm gonna eat a lot of it. Okay, I definitely get what all the hype is about. This is so good. It's got a little bit of spice at the back. It's creamy, got a ton of flavor. The garlic and the onions and the sun-dried tomatoes and the calabrian chilies you can taste. It's perfectly seasoned. It feels really hearty and like comforting, especially for this time of year. Oh my God, that's so good. I can't stop. You absolutely should make this. Whether you're making it for yourself, for your friend, for your significant other, because you want someone to propose to you, whatever it may be, it is really easy. It all comes together. I think I love the one pot element of it because it's, like I said, all the flavors are already coming together in one place versus cooking the chicken, adding it to the pasta. It's just divine. I really, really love this. So you absolutely need to try it. Thank you so much for watching this show. If you're new here, and you probably are new here since this is a brand new show, please give this a like and subscribe. I have many more dinner recipes coming your way soon, so we'll see you at the next one. I'm gonna keep eating this. That's one thing about me. It's so good.